What if I told you that the reason she's not making you her priority has nothing to do with her and everything to do with how you're showing up in your own life? Sounds harsh, right? But here's the reality. Too many men are stuck in a cycle of trying to impress, trying to fit in, trying to win her over. And what's the result? You get ghosted, ignored, or worst of all, treated like an afterthought. It's time to wake up. You don't need to chase her approval. What you need is to take a hard look in the mirror and start chasing your own. The problem isn't with her. It's with the version of yourself you're putting out there. You're playing small, making yourself too available, too eager. And guess what? Women pick up on that. They sense it and they respond accordingly. But here's the good news. You can flip the script. Not by playing games or pretending to be someone you're not, but by adopting a mindset so powerful. It's been guiding the greatest men for over 2,000 years, Stoicism. This is about mastering your emotions, embracing your inner strength, and becoming the kind of man who naturally commands respect and admiration. By the end of this journey, you'll know exactly how to shift from being just another option to becoming the priority in her life. And it's not about manipulation, it's about transformation. Are you ready to change the game? Let's dive in. 1. Lead a purpose-driven life. Have you ever noticed how the most magnetic men seem to have this aura of unshakable focus? It's like they're on a mission and nothing, no woman, no distraction can pull them off course. That's the energy you need to cultivate if you want to be her priority. Purpose-driven men don't chase, they attract. Let me ask you this. What's driving you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What if the answer is her? You've already lost. Women aren't looking for a man whose entire world revolves around them. They want someone who's deeply passionate about something bigger than himself. It could be your career, your art, your fitness journey, whatever fuels you and gives your life meaning. When you're living a purpose-driven life, everything changes. You stop needing external validation because your fulfillment comes from within. And here's the kicker. That kind of self-assuredness is irresistible. Women are naturally drawn to men who know where they're going and aren't afraid to blaze their own trail. Now you might be thinking, but won't she feel left out if I'm too focused on my goals? The truth is, a woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to be a part of your purpose-driven life, where she wants to feel like she's alongside a man who's building something extraordinary, not dragging him along while he figures it out. And let's get real, living with purpose doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes you more fulfilled. How many men waste their lives waiting for the perfect relationship to give them meaning, only to find themselves empty when it doesn't work out? Don't be that guy. Be the man who inspires her, who challenges her to level up just by being in your presence. Think of Stoicism here as your secret weapon. It teaches you to focus on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your path. You stop sweating the small stuff and start investing in what truly matters. Purpose is the ultimate anchor in a chaotic world. It keeps you grounded, focused, and unwavering no matter what life or she throws your way. So what's stopping you from stepping into your mission? Fear of failure? Fear of what others might think? It's time to let those excuses go. The moment you commit to your purpose, you shift the dynamic in every area of your life, including your relationships. You're no longer the man waiting for her to validate you. You're the man she's hoping to keep up with. Ask yourself, what legacy do you want to leave? What kind of man do you want to be remembered as? Start building that life today and watch how quickly she starts seeing you as the prize you've always been. 2. Set clear boundaries. Let's talk about one of the most underrated aspects of becoming her priority: boundaries. Without them, you're like a ship without a rudder, aimlessly drifting wherever the wind takes you. And trust me, if you don't set boundaries, she will. Spoiler alert, her boundaries won't work in your favor. Here's a question for you. How often do you say yes to things that don't align with your values or priorities? Maybe she texts you at 11 p.m., wanting to hang out, and even though you had other plans, or let's be real, needed a night to yourself, you drop everything to accommodate her. Sounds familiar? Now ask yourself, what message does that send? I'll tell you what it says. My time isn't valuable. I'm here whenever you need me, regardless of how little effort you put in. Do you think that earns you respect? No. Women respect men who respect themselves first. Setting boundaries isn't about being cold or distant. It's about showing that you value yourself and your time. When you tell her, sorry, I'm busy tonight, but let's plan for another time, you're not rejecting her. You're simply prioritizing your own life. That small shift changes everything. Suddenly she's intrigued. She starts to see you as someone who won't just bend at her every whim. But here's where most men get it wrong. They confuse boundaries with control. Setting boundaries isn't about trying to dictate her behavior. It's about defining what works for you and sticking to it. It's a subtle but powerful difference. When you set healthy boundaries, you're not pushing her away. You're inviting her to meet you on your level. Here's a Stoic truth. Boundaries are a reflection of your self-respect. They signal to her and everyone else that you're a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve him. And guess what? Women find that incredibly attractive. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows discipline. It shows that you're not afraid to prioritize your well-being over temporary gratification. Think about it. How many men are out there groveling for attention, overextending themselves, and compromising their values just to keep a woman interested? Don't be one of them. Be the man who commands respect by respecting himself first. Now let me ask you, what boundaries have you been neglecting in your life? Maybe it's about how often you're available. Maybe it's about the kind of treatment you're willing to accept. Whatever it is, start setting those boundaries today. And remember, boundaries aren't just for her. They're for you. They're your roadmap to living a life of integrity and self-respect. Before we move on, I want to hear from you. Have you ever struggled with setting boundaries in your relationships? What's one boundary you're committed to setting from this point forward? Drop a comment below and share your story. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video if you're finding value so far. Your engagement helps spread this message to more men who need to hear it. Let's keep the conversation going. 3. Reclaim your time. Time is the one resource you can never get back. Yet so many men treat it as if it's infinite, giving it away freely to anyone who asks, especially the women they're interested in. Here's a hard truth. If you don't value your time, neither will she. Think about the last time you rearranged your schedule to fit hers. Maybe you canceled plans with friends or skipped a workout because she suddenly wanted to meet up. In that moment, what you told her without even realizing it was that your time is less important than hers. And while she might appreciate the gesture in the short term, over time she'll start to take you for granted. Reclaiming your time isn't just about saying no to last-minute requests. It's about living your life in a way that shows you value every second. When your time is scarce, it becomes valuable. And when it's valuable, people, including her, will respect it more. Imagine this. She texts you late in the evening, asking if you're free to hang out. Instead of immediately dropping everything, you respond with, "I've got plans tonight, but let's catch up later this week." That's a power move. You're showing her that your life doesn't revolve around her whims. You're demonstrating that you have priorities, commitments, and a life that's rich and fulfilling on its own. This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about genuinely living a life that excites you. Women are naturally drawn to men who are busy, driven, and focused. Why? Because it signals ambition and independence, two traits that are deeply attractive. And don't think for a second that reclaiming your time makes you selfish. On the contrary, it makes you self-respecting. It shows that you're a man who values his goals, his passions, and his personal growth. When you operate from this mindset, you're not just teaching her to respect your time, you're teaching her to respect you as a whole. Here's a Stoic perspective to keep in mind. Time is one of the few things truly within your control. You can't control her actions, her feelings, or her choices, but you can control how and where you invest your time. By taking charge of this, you take charge of your life. Reclaiming your time also forces her to work for your attention. When you're not always readily available, she begins to see your time as a privilege, not a given. And that's exactly where you want to be. So ask yourself, how are you currently spending your time? Are you constantly at her beck and call? Or are you dedicating it to things that enrich your life and push you forward? It's time to take stock and start making changes. Because when you reclaim your time, you don't just change how she sees you, you change how you see yourself. 4. The Scarcity Principle. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stopped to think about why people covet rare things? Whether it's a limited edition watch, a one-of-a-kind painting, or a precious gemstone, scarcity creates value. The same principle applies to you. If you're always available, always there, you become predictable, and predictable is the death of attraction. Now imagine this. Every time she calls, you answer on the first ring. Every time she wants to hang out, you're there in an instant. At first, she might appreciate your attentiveness, but over time, it begins to lose its charm. Why? Because there's no challenge, no mystery, no sense of urgency to be a part of your life. Here's where the scarcity principle comes into play. When you limit your availability, you create a sense of value around your time and presence. As she begins to see you as someone who's in demand, someone who has a full life and isn't just waiting around for her call. And that changes everything. Scarcity isn't about playing games or manipulating her emotions. It's about genuinely living a life that keeps you busy, engaged, and fulfilled. When you're constantly chasing your goals, spending time with friends, or pursuing your passions, your availability naturally becomes limited. You're not feigning scarcity, you're embodying it. And here's the beauty of this approach. It shifts the dynamic. Instead of you working to fit into her schedule, she starts working to fit into yours. She'll notice when you're not always around, and that absence will make her crave your presence even more. Now think of it like this. When you're always available, your time becomes a common commodity. But when you make her work a little for your attention, it transforms into something precious. She begins to appreciate and prioritize the moments she gets with you because she knows they're not guaranteed. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about showing that your life is full, rich, and meaningful on its own. You're not putting her on a pedestal and making her the center of your universe. Instead, you're inviting her to join you in a life that's already fulfilling and exciting. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to value what truly matters. Your time and energy are finite resources. Treat them as such. When you do, you not only enhance your own life, but also elevate your value in her eyes. So what does scarcity look like in practice? It means being selective about how you spend your time. It means not answering every text the moment it arrives. It means occasionally being unavailable, not because you're trying to make her chase you, but because you're genuinely busy building the life you want. Scarcity isn't about creating distance, it's about creating desire. And when done authentically, it's one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal to go from being an option to becoming her priority. 5. Be her emotional anchor. In a world filled with emotional chaos, most men make the fatal mistake of reacting to every wave of emotion a woman throws their way. She's upset, and you scramble to fix it. She's distant, and you chase after her. You match her highs and lows, thinking that's what connection looks like. But here's the truth. Women aren't looking for someone to join them on their emotional roller coaster. They're searching for the man who can anchor it. Have you ever wondered why women are drawn to men who seem unshakable? It's not because they lack emotion, it's because they control their emotional response. They don't get swept away by the drama or turmoil. Instead, they provide a safe, steady presence in the storm. That's what makes you stand out. Let me break it down for you. When a woman's emotions are running high, she doesn't need you to fix everything. Rija doesn't need you to mirror her panic or feed into her anxiety. What she needs is stability, someone who can hold space for her feelings without losing his own composure. That's how you become the man she turns to when the world feels overwhelming. Here's a scenario. She's venting about her bad day, and instead of trying to solve her problems, you simply listen. You validate her feelings with calm, measured responses, showing empathy without losing your cool. In that moment, you're not just another guy, you're her emotional anchor. Stoicism comes into play here in a big way. It teaches you to remain grounded, to control your emotions instead of being controlled by them. This doesn't mean you're indifferent or cold, quite the opposite. It means you're fully present but not reactive. You're calm, composed, and confident, a pillar of strength she can rely on. When you master this, something powerful happens. She starts to associate you with a sense of peace and security. Every time life throws her a curveball, she knows she can turn to you for support, not because you'll fix everything, but because you'll be there, steady and unshaken. That's what makes you irreplaceable. So let me ask you, are you the calm in her storm, or are you getting tossed around by the waves? It's time to step into your role as her emotional anchor. And if this resonates with you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and share how you've been that steady presence in someone's life, or how you're working on becoming it. And if you're finding value in these insights, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more men discover the power of stoicism and emotional mastery. Let's keep building a community of men who inspire respect, trust, and deep connection. 6. Practice emotional detachment. Let's get one thing clear. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. What it means is that your sense of self-worth and happiness are no longer tied to her reactions or behavior. You're in control of your emotions, not at their mercy. Here's a scenario you've probably experienced. You text her, and she suddenly goes cold. The playful banter fades, replaced by one-word replies or worse, radio silence. Most men spiral at this point. They overanalyze, replay every word of their last conversation, and wonder what went wrong. But that's where they lose the game. When you practice emotional detachment, situations like this don't faze you. If she stops responding, you don't panic. If she cancels plans, you don't sulk. Instead, you carry on with your life, knowing her behavior is a reflection of her world, not yours. This composure isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. Women are drawn to men who can maintain their cool regardless of the circumstances. Now think about it. How often have you let someone else's actions dictate your mood? Emotional detachment frees you from that cycle. It allows you to show up fully in your interactions without becoming dependent on the outcome. You're no longer seeking validation because you've already given it to yourself. Here's the beauty of this approach. When you stop reacting emotionally, you regain your power. You're no longer at the mercy of her whims or mood swings. You're the steady presence in her life, the one who's not easily shaken. And this stability is what women crave, especially in a world where so many men are ruled by their insecurities. Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in our ability to remain unaffected by external events. Emotional detachment is an extension of this philosophy. It's about mastering your internal world so thoroughly that no external force, no text, no cancellation, no ghosting can disrupt your peace. And here's the kicker. The less you react, the more curious she becomes. When you don't chase after her every time she pulls away, she starts wondering what's going on in your world. She'll notice your emotional independence and feel drawn to your unshakable confidence. But emotional detachment isn't just a strategy for relationships, it's a mindset for life. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, your goals, your passions, your growth. When you're not constantly seeking reassurance or validation from others, you free up immense mental and emotional energy to invest in yourself. So how do you cultivate this detachment? It starts with awareness. Recognize when you're being pulled into emotional reactions. Take a step back and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Over time, you'll build the mental resilience to stay calm and composed, no matter what life or she throws your way. By practicing emotional detachment, you not only become a more confident and centered man, but you also shift the dynamic of your relationships. You go from being reactive and dependent to grounded and self-assured, and that's the kind of man she won't want to let go. 7. Communicate through actions, not words. Here's a reality check. In today's world, words are cheap. Everyone talks a big game, especially when it comes to relationships. Men are constantly telling women, I'm different, I'm serious about you, or I'm not like other guys. But guess what? She's heard it all before. What sets you apart isn't what you say, it's what you do. Women pay far more attention to your actions than your promises. You could write her 1,000 heartfelt messages, but if your behavior doesn't align with your words, none of it will matter. Conversely, you could say very little, but if your actions consistently show respect, care, and confidence, she'll notice. Think about the last time you tried to convince someone of your intentions. Maybe you explained over and over how serious you were about the relationship, hoping your words would earn her trust. But did it work? Likely not, because trust isn't built through talking, it's built through doing. Consistency is the secret weapon here. If you tell her you're going to do something, follow through every time. If you set a boundary, enforce it without wavering. If you value your time, show it by sticking to your commitments and not overextending yourself to please her. Over time, these actions speak volumes. They demonstrate that you're a man of integrity, someone who doesn't just talk about respect but embodies it. Here's another layer to consider: decisiveness. Women are naturally drawn to men who know what they want and act on it. When you make decisions confidently, whether it's choosing a restaurant for a date or pursuing a long-term goal, you send a powerful message. I've got this. This kind of energy reassures her that you're not just drifting through life, you're steering your own ship. On the flip side, over-explaining or seeking constant validation through words can have the opposite effect. It signals insecurity, as if you're trying too hard to prove your worth. Women don't want to be convinced of your value, they want to experience it through the way you live your life. Stoicism reinforces this principle beautifully. It teaches that true virtue and strength are reflected in our actions, not in our declarations. A Stoic man understands that his deeds are his greatest testament. He doesn't waste time trying to explain himself or win approval. He lets his life speak for him. For instance, imagine she's testing you by pulling back her attention. Most men would rush to fill the silence with reassurances or explanations. But a man who communicates through actions, he stays calm. He continues living his life, pursuing his goals, and maintaining his standards. His lack of panic speaks louder than any words ever could. When your actions align with your values, you don't need to broadcast your worth. She'll see it, feel it, and respect it. And that respect forms the foundation of genuine attraction. So the next time you're tempted to over-communicate your feelings or intentions, take a step back. Let your actions do the talking. They'll tell her everything she needs to know and more. 8. The Reciprocity Rule. Let's get real. Relationships thrive on balance. If you're the one constantly giving your time, your energy, your effort, while she gives the bare minimum, you're setting yourself up for failure. One-sided dynamics don't just erode your self-respect, they also kill attraction. And yet many men fall into this trap, thinking they need to try harder, give more, and chase endlessly to win her over. But here's the truth. Real connection is built on reciprocity. Have you ever been in a situation where you're doing all the work? You're initiating every conversation, planning every date, and making all the compromises. Meanwhile, she's barely putting in any effort. How did that feel? Probably draining, frustrating, and ultimately unfulfilling. That's because deep down, you know this. Relationships are partnerships, not one-man shows. When you understand the reciprocity rule, everything changes. You stop overextending yourself and start expecting equal effort. And if she's not willing to match your energy, you pull back. You show her, without saying a word, that you're not someone who settles for scraps. You're someone who values balance and mutual respect. Here's the thing. Women are incredibly perceptive. They notice when you're giving more than you're getting, and if you let it slide, they'll keep taking. Not because they're malicious, but because you've shown them that it's acceptable. But the moment you demand reciprocity by matching her effort, not exceeding it, you shift the dynamic. She realizes that your time and attention are privileges, not guarantees. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. Let's say you've been dating for a few weeks, and she's started to pull back. Instead of doubling your effort to keep her interested, you do the opposite. You mirror her energy. If she texts less, you text less. If she stops initiating plans, you stop too. You let her feel your absence and give her the opportunity to step up. And here's the beauty of it. If she's genuinely interested, she will step up. She'll notice the imbalance and work to correct it. And if she doesn't, that's your signal to walk away. Why invest in someone who isn't willing to invest in you? Reciprocity isn't just about fairness, it's about self-respect. By demanding balanced effort, you show her and yourself that you won't settle for less than you deserve. And that confidence, that unwavering belief in your own worth is magnetic. So let's turn it over to you. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a one-sided relationship? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story could help someone else recognize their own worth. And if this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video. Every like helps spread the word to more men who need to hear it. Let's keep building a community of men who know their value and demand the same in return. 9. Turn rejection into power. Rejection. The very word sends a chill down most men's spines. It's that moment of silence after you've put yourself out there, the unanswered text, the awkward conversation where she says, "I'm not looking for anything serious." But here's a perspective shift. Rejection isn't the end, it's the beginning of your transformation. Think about it. Every great man has faced rejection in relationships, in business, and life. The difference between those who crumble and those who rise lies in how they respond. Most men take rejection personally, letting it erode their confidence and self-worth. But what if you saw it for what it truly is? A gift. Rejection is a mirror. It forces you to confront areas where you can grow. Maybe you were too available, lacked boundaries, or chased her validation instead of focusing on your own purpose. Whatever the reason, rejection exposes your blind spots. And once you see them, you have the power to improve. Here's the thing. Rejection isn't a reflection of your worth. Often it has little to do with you and everything to do with her preferences, her timing, or her life circumstances. You might not fit the picture she has in her mind at that moment, but that doesn't diminish your value. In fact, the best response to rejection is to use it as fuel. Picture this: you've been turned down. Most guys would retreat, replaying the scenario over and over, asking themselves what they did wrong. Not you. Instead, you step back, analyze the situation objectively, and ask, what can I learn from this? Then you get to work. You hit the gym harder, double down on your goals, and refine your mindset. You become a stronger, more confident version of yourself. This is where Stoicism becomes your ally. It teaches you to view every setback as an opportunity. Rejection is just another test of your resilience. Instead of reacting emotionally, you respond with calm, collected determination. You don't dwell on what could have been, you focus on what can be. And here's the irony. When you handle rejection with grace and use it as a stepping stone, you become more attractive. You exude a quiet confidence that says, "I'm good with or without you." Women respect a man who doesn't crumble at the first sign of resistance. They're intrigued by someone who can face adversity and come out stronger. So the next time you face rejection, remember this. It's not a loss, it's a redirection. It's clearing the path for something or someone better suited for you. Every no brings you closer to a yes that aligns with your growth and values. Rejection refines you. It sharpens your edges, builds your resilience, and reminds you that your worth isn't up for debate. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you forward. Because the man who can turn rejection into power is unstoppable. And that's the kind of man she'll wish she had prioritized. By now, you've taken a deep dive into the principles that can transform your role in any relationship. From leading a purpose-driven life to mastering emotional detachment. Every step you take isn't just about winning her attention. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. The kind of man who naturally commands respect, admiration, and yes, desire. Here's the truth. You don't need to manipulate or play games to be her priority. You don't need to bend over backward or lose yourself in the process. Instead, you need to embody the qualities that make you stand out: self-respect, confidence, emotional strength, and a commitment to living life on your terms. The beauty of this journey is that it's not just about her. As you implement these principles, you'll notice changes in every aspect of your life. You'll feel more grounded, more focused, and more in control. And when you reach that point, the question isn't whether she'll prioritize you, it's whether you'll choose to prioritize her. So what's the next step? Start small. Begin by reclaiming your time, setting boundaries, and focusing on your personal growth. The results will speak for themselves. And when you embrace the Stoic mindset, you'll find that you're not just changing how she sees you, you're changing how you see yourself. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Remember, the power to become her priority lies in your hands. You've got this. Here's to becoming the man you were always meant to be.